they offered a dangerous alternative to make-up metal groups like Cinderella and Poison.
All these other bands wanted how much favorite eggs and makeup and crap. But we did. We just went out there, dead rock though.
The local counters, that's number one. The music wasn't to me like nothing I had ever heard.
I just didn't even get it. When I was going around. Just have this strange, sort of unpredictable, scary thing about what it was that we did. There was no holds barred.
And from the beginning, Guns' hunger for success was matched only by their appetite for excess.
Friday was 24 big party. 2 hours. Maybe a couple hours. Everybody was completely surrounded in ecstasy.
Nobody drank as much as Slash, and nobody passed out as much as Slash.
Here's this was definitely all the guys that we grew up, were our heroes growing up. And
Was constantly migrating to another. Guns were single-minded in their pursuit of just two things: partying and rock and roll.
these guys were living off of biscuits, gravy, from Denny's, from friends.
So usually we used a few bodies on the floor. So it's still a long time. There was always someone in a pizza box and empty liquor bottles everywhere.
We were always scrounging to find a place to practice, to find a place to crash. And back in those days, the best people to know were strippers because they were the ones that were empathetic. They were handsome.
Once on stage, the band served up bludgeoning riffs. Rex supplied the menacing lyrics. The product of an abusive household, Rose was an explosive frontman who used his songs to tackle his demons.
Well, that's all it is. All the things that you might find complicated or difficult about Axel is what fuels him to be such an amazing performer, such an amazing songwriter.
Axel's volatility was both a blessing and a curse. By early '86, Guns N' Roses were the hottest band in LA. Record labels.
Hello.
Nobody wanted to sign us. I mean, even all the people that wanted to sign us.
How are you tonight? Damn, you got 18 people on here, look like. Cool. I've been lost in action.
In the spring of '86, Kevin Records and Ted Thompson saw the band at an LA club. Thought their hard-rock sound was worth almost anything.
Headed west on that 10 out here in Texas. It's been a while since I've been on here. Hello, Kayla. Hello. Carriana Frost. If I said that right. Ba-ba-ba. How y'all doing? I took 8 days off work. My birthday was August 5th. My wife's was August 7th. I got home on August 6th. I left out Wednesday. Just really hadn't felt like getting on YouTube on video. Not very exciting. everybody doing okay. You're supposed to have carry on to the standard moderator. Good morning, Vietnam. I don't know how long I'll be on here. Probably lose signal here in a minute. Headed to LA, California. Chicken McNugget. Wife broke her, or dislocated her pinky finger the other day, Monday. Had to take her to the dang gum doctor. She fell on our front porch. She really messed her finger up bad. Dislocated the pinky, and I think it's got a fracture in it. It looked bad. You should have seen it. Her pinky was kind of like L-shaped or something. We didn't go to the ER. We went to a walk-in clinic. $165, 3 x-rays, and they didn't even do anything. Had to go to another clinic, paid $324, and that doctor set her finger right there in the office. I tried to get her to let me set the finger at home, but she wouldn't let me do it. Anything going on, anything exciting in y'all's lives? Besides watching this stupid truck driver drive down the road. So cool. What? Got cool. Gold 3. What up, neighbor? I can't say that. Gold 3. I gotta say that right, maybe. Come on now, that Restoria Patrol. the Dale Jr. download. It's pretty interesting, some of the stuff they talk about on that podcast. I mean, I'm not no big NASCAR fan. I mean, I've always kind of kept up with it in a roundabout way. I don't really watch the races. But that Dale Jr. download is pretty good. It's pretty funny, pretty interesting to listen to all the old stories about Dale Sr. Getting to hear about the Bud 8 days when he was racing for DEI after Senior's death. Teresa fucking shit up. Sorry I ain't been on here, y'all. Just really hadn't been in the mood for it. Got my truck washed yesterday. They missed quite a bit on it. I was gonna wash it at home. But I just didn't feel like doing nothing. And I didn't do a damn thing when I was at home. People on here. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, whatever you want to call it. Instigator. Where you at, Instigator? Listening to VH1 behind the music. Guns N' Roses. Dude, I smell fresh tar. Midnights in the mist, brown, don't leave me alone. No, 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 no. 300-mile marker. That ugly truck driver off that damn screen. So where y'all at tonight, this morning? I'm in Iran, Texas. I don't know how they pronounce it. It's I-R-A-A-N. Iran. I'm in Iran. I'm in Pakistan. I like to visit Pakistan. I'd really like to visit Dubai. That'd be cool. Really don't feel like doing this trucking stuff tonight, but I ain't got no choice. The wheels ain't gonna roll by themselves. And Walk Street, Bakersfield. Heard of 501 Bryce blowing up on YouTube Shorts. I think y'all might be on TikTok and stuff from Little Rock, Arkansas. He got a song called Freestyle with Nelly. Now, I'm not really no rap fan, but My music vocabulary is very wide range, as blah blah blah, as I have mentioned it before. I like a little bit of everything. But that little boy, 501 Bryce, he's blowing it up. You white boy, country rap. We got a couple little tunes that are pretty catchy. The freestyle with Nelly I like. Hits hard. Good bass. It's Jordan, 5-1. I'm a sucker for French tips, manicured toes. Thank you, big truck. I appreciate you, neighbor. Blink, blink, flash, flash, and all that other truck. Come on, later. Stand on it. Let's get on across through here. Bump it up to around about 80 here, neighbor. Let this sucker roll, 10-4. Do that triple digit trucking deal. We can do it. Old boy come across Texas I-20 day before yesterday. I tell her about. No, I don't fucking know. Not Texas, he come up on me. I was running 70. Boy, he went by me like I sitting still. Real 379 Peterbilt, black. Straight pipes, black smoke rolling. See, we got us a smoker. We've been dancing with Miss Clowns, don't even leave me alone. No, 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 leave me alone. Alrighty. I hear smoking the bear in the middle over there. I'm glad y'all stopped by my little channel. Thank you. Oh, I cannot say your name there. There's Jara. Okay. Let me try. Kalila Jara. Am I close to being right? Am I saying your last name right? Jara or Yara? Yara? Jara? Are you in another country besides America? And if so, where might you be? I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out this little channel here. Thank you. I just get on here and act dumb. I haven't been on here in about a month or so, though. was filming and uploading to YouTube, you know, but doing all that editing and stuff is not the easiest thing to do. And then you can, I don't know, you get the real person when you go live. There's no editing. You just get what you get. They call me Mo. My last name is Ron. Moron. Top fans. How many top fans do I have? Oh my Lord. Okay. Here. Jara. I'll make you a moderator right here. Hold on a second. I'll mod you up. But please don't block people unless they're getting real bad sideways. 'Cause I'm pretty cool. Well, they ain't letting me do no moderations. There we go. That is moderator. Standard time out there. Jara. You are now a moderator. If somebody's getting real super rude or sideways, you can block them or time out them or something, but I'm pretty thick-skinned, so we don't block people unless they get on here talking about real bad stuff, like doing bad things to kids or something. I need to make somebody else a moderator. Your top fans. Peace, love, and 18 wheels. Drug industry going to hell in a handbasket, and I thought it was fixing to turn around. Rates go up, but hell, the rates seem to just keep dropping. We're going to be a third world country by the end of the year. Daggum bullshit. There are these folks that can't read the road signs, running over everybody. Somebody said the other day it ain't nothing but population control. Hell. You know, damn, there's a signal back. Damn it in hell. hope you can see now. Turn my spotlight around. I like that fucking world up. How wild feels that? Hey, Bill, you on there, sir? You on my moderator? He usually gets on there when I get on, early in the mornings, late at night. Smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Don't tell me I got trucking to do. Oh. Nothing wrong with the world today. People come gone away. Ah! Daggone road. Get me a cup of coffee back there at the truck stop in Junction, Texas. That daggone place that wasn't even open. What did I do? I went to stay there. Something wrong in the world today. People done gone away. In the jungle. Praying for world peace and happiness. Peace, love, and 18 wheels. Oh, son. Hell, man. People done gone away. behind the music of Weird Al Yankovic. I don't really want to listen to that. Pretty cool. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River.
This is the soaring songs of nature, love, and law.
There we go. Wait, a big old gator.
You can't expect to use that as an excuse for everything that we did. It was like, we'd be like losing a switch on. And under the stage, like Sodom and Gomorrah, there'd be 60 naked girls, and I did nothing on it. But for Def Leppard, every successful high was undercut by staggering lows. We were going to die. That wasn't going to happen. I would learn a bit towards
San Angelo.
but the partying took its toll. Alcohol drove one member out of the band. I felt to leave its hour ready to go on stage. And drinking drove another to an early grave. The alcohol in his blood was double what killed John Bonham. Def Leppard's horrific bad luck took another brutal twist with the near-fatal car crash of their drummer. And it was almost like some weird nightmare standing up in this field of just saying, well, I've lost my arm, and I'm a drummer. Served the double shot of success and misfortune. Def Leppard may be rock's most blessed and cursed band. Tonight, the tragedy and triumph of Def Leppard on Behind the Music. In the French experiences, they blazed in the center of the stadium rock band, signed in their teens, pick-up pop stars by the early 20s. Def Leppard smashed box office records wherever they played. We sold Detroit out faster than Led Zeppelin, and we were talking in telephone numbers now.
I got badges.
It wasn't so that.
I got badges from Def Leppard's YouTube channel for being the most, for viewing the most videos and footages from their YouTube channel for like 3 or 4 months in a row. I like Def Leppard. They're a pretty good band. That's a pretty good tune.
It was great to see the 16th century ones. They scream loud, they dance, and let's be honest, there was 540 men on stage that are attracted to the video. I've been trying not to back through. There's a little girl in the miniskirt. That's something we
Long live rock and roll.
Success was matched only by their personal excellence.
Stage, still rolling, rock and rolling. Now we get the glory. Hello, and howdy, everybody.
Tragedies that would haunt them in the years to come. Riggs had a car crash, he's lost his arm. Now this is not in the agenda. This doesn't make sense. He didn't realize it actually. Lost
82 degrees in Fort Stockton, Texas.
Break out and lost his leg.
He never wanted to say his experience, but we went to Bloodhouse with the emergency line.
You just see it break. Almost deteriorate. And you just feel so helpless.
And his heart was just he tried so hard to stay alive. But really, he was really slowly trying to kill himself.
and roll. Glory. Three people on there.
With the Willis on the brink of self-destruction, the group spent several months in 1882 before he returned to Nunnery. Using one line second-hand for the group's workaholic recording routine, painstaking process of rewrites and retakes.
There was a lot of tears shed about it, a lot of those sticks thrown, one of the guitars slapped in. Well, I can't sing one of them because they were doing it again. Not very doing it again.
As the brilliant Pyromania session wore on, Willis and Robert I just really felt ready to funny brackets was very personal right to the studio that it was. And so we got to job is to try to take that for people to do that so just going out and back up
We gave it a good
Glory. Big Bend National Park. Get off here for a minute. Yeah, I'm a trucker, sorry. Airport, Stockton, Texas, headed to LA, California.
Half a mile, exit highway right. State Victor's ahead.
Yep.
Texas 18.
Chicken, bigger pot. 2024 389 Peterbilt. Got it brand spanking
Texas
new.
18 toward hospital.
Alright. out of the southeasterly areas, middle south, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, out to Cali. And I usually bring ice cream back to Dallas, and that's what I'm doing this trip. I'm actually going to Riverside, California. And I'll unload, and then I'll go to Ontario, California, and reload my ice cream. I'm gonna go back to Dallas town. How you doing, big truck? People crazy, man. Come on. Come on back, Tuckers. Talk to Daddy Bear. I guess I can leave this playing. I gotta get fuel. Fuel can buy the apples I desire. I don't want to get fuel. Clean my windshield. Bye-bye booty. Well, I guess I'll leave it playing there, but I'll be on stir.
I mean, it was just ludicrous. For me, social drinker, glass of wine, but I've tried that in the past. Glass of wine, bottle of wine,
Well, it is in my mind. It's 158 443.
Still just as difficult. Very wise, and stuffing wasn't even on his agenda.
We've been together long enough to notice that, there was a little too much drinking involved. And I went to the band and I approached them about it, and I said, I think Steve's really got a drinking problem. And they just passed it off like, Steve's always liked a bit of the drug, and you're just having marriage problems.
In mid-1982, the band went back into the studio to record Hysteria. Recording paused for the Christmas break. They returned home to the holidays. On New Year's Eve, drummer Rick Allen and his girlfriend Marion Berenson were driving near Rick's parents' home in rural England.
When I was driving down the road in the Corvette, this red Alpha male came screaming around the corner. I slowed up to the point where I started having to slow up. I tried to pass him, and every time I tried to pass him, this guy would speed up again. I lost my temper to the point where I don't even remember going around the corner. I think the first thing I remember was waking up or standing up in a field, and it was almost like some weird nightmare, just standing up in this field and just saying, well, I've lost my arm and I'm a drummer. I guess as I rolled this car, the seatbelt was the thing that actually took my arm off. Because I remained conscious, I tensed to the point where I almost didn't bleed at all.
Luckily for Rick, two people who lived nearby were Doreen Billington, a retired nurse, and Tony Beavis, an off-duty police officer.
It was a beautiful day. There was a biting wind coming along. I couldn't find anyone at first, and then I saw this girl running around in the field. Looked over the wall and saw this boy. He said his first words were, "I'm a famous drummer and I lost my arm. I'm Def Leppard." Well, I'd never heard of Def Leppard. So I got a handkerchief and some towels and just pressed it on. The clots were starting to form around the area which had been torn off. He wanted his mum. I remember him saying that, which I thought was rather sweet. The next friendly voice over the wall was Anthony, who said, "I'm an off-duty policeman. Can I give you any assistance?" And I just looked up and said, "Oh, thank God, Anthony. Can you find his arm?"
Colour itself is upturned. Only being on the actual wall here, coming across into the actual roadway.
I called inside the car that was upturned, and there I found
underneath the actual dashboard. The chaps are that have been started from here right the way through.
And then the next voice over the wall was a district nurse and her husband. And she was just passing. And I said, oh, have you got any packs? And she said, yes.
We managed to go and actually bandage the wound to some extent, and certainly to go and stem the actual bleeding and what have you. It was quite some distance to be thrown through any vehicle. That he survived was quite honestly a miracle.
Rick was rushed to the hospital, where a surgical team performed an emergency 4-hour operation in which doctors reconnected Rick's severed limb. Still, it would be days before they would know if the operation was successful.
The main reason why it was done that way was to give him, supposedly, a good stump for an artificial arm. And over the period of the night, he had quite a few units of blood, to say the least, going down for them. And unfortunately, he just kept bleeding, and more we chained, the more came out.
New Year's Eve, the whole days. Around about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I got a call from the HR manager explaining what happened. It just didn't sink in. He said, Rick's had a car crash, he's lost his arm. Now, this is not in the agenda. This doesn't make sense. You forget about it being a trauma. You forget about it being a band member. You worry whether the guy's actually going to live. But I just remember going into the toilets at the hospital, just bursting out crying again. I couldn't stand to look at him. I couldn't stand it. His brother made me touch his hand after the attacks the arm and said, feel, it's warm. And it was. It felt warm.
I could see his hand. And it was so pink. And I thought, you know, they'd done it.
But, to everyone's horror, Rick's reattached limb became infected. Luckily, the surgeons removed his left arm. This time, for good.
It's almost like giving you something back and then taking it away for the second time. It seemed very, very cruel. That was one sort of slight hiccup. And then the thing that really, really got to me was when they said that if I didn't clear this infection, that there was a real possibility that I might lose my right arm as well. And that's when things got all dark and serious. No way.
Coming up next, Rick Allen fights back. Return of the one-armed drunk.
It was almost like I was running off pure adrenaline. It's just hell-bent on getting back in there, and making the band happy.
And Steve Clark loses the battle with his private demons.
Apparently, the alcohol in his blood was double what killed John Bonham.
When Behind the Music continues. Leppard band want to take a brutal risk with the near-fatal car crash of their drummer Rick Allen. But Rick refused to accept the idea that his terrible injury would end his musical career. He resolved to play the drums again.
Me and Steve seen him in hospital, and he was all done up like a mummy, like, blood seeping out, and just lying in the bed, and he said, I'll be practicing on the play drums. It's almost the first thing he said. Medication. Things were exciting again. Things were really, I've got a goal. I've got a goal in life. I've got something to work towards.
Richard said that life was too easy. He was doing exactly what he wanted. He was travelling the world. And this was the kick up the backside that he needed. And I said, Richard, it had no need to have been such a hard kick.
In a show of loyalty, the band hesitated to replace Rick Allen. They decided instead to remain on hiatus until Rick might return.
There's no way he's going to get fired. I mean, he's like a brother. He's not family. It's up to him to tell us that he can't play it. So we played the calendar.
While the band continued to labor in the studio, Rick spent 8 hours a day mastering a custom-built electronic drum kit that allowed him to play left-handed beats with his left foot.
It was just starting back at the basics again, and realizing that the information was in my head. It just needed to be channeled somewhere else. Although I couldn't get it out here, I could get it to other parts of my body.
Then, in the midst of Rick's heroic comeback, the band was invited to perform on the Monsters of Rock tour, a series of European dates that featured Ozzy Osbourne and Bon Jovi. It was to be Rick Allen's one-armed return to the concert stage.
You know, a few people said, oh, you know, you're not going to let the freak show get up on stage or whatever. It kind of, the big test was actually going out and doing it live.
In preparation, the band planned a series of small club dates in Ireland. At Rick Allen's suggestion, drummer Jeff Rich was brought in to back him up. But traveling to the third date, Jeff Rich's flight was delayed, and he missed the start of the show. Rick Allen had to go it alone. He didn't skip a beat.
About 45 minutes into the gig, very sheepish, Jeff Rich turns up, sneaks onto his kit, joins in. Didn't even notice. That's the highest compliment I could pay Rick for that. After the gig, Jeff came up to me and he just said, well, it's been nice knowing you. I think you can do this on your own.
On August 16, 1986, at the Monsters of Rock Festival, Rick Allen made his first arena concert appearance since his accident. Rick was introduced. The crowd exploded.
I swear, like a hairdryer. I mean, they knew the volume nearly blew you off stage. It was frightening. It was extremely
Dropping everything.
It was one of the greatest comebacks in rock history. I think Rick Allen became
Do like rolling in a few minutes here. To get fuel. Get fuel, get fine, get me up beside the side. I'll get me a shot. Well, I do. Clean the window, clean the dash, spot the steering, clean the phone camera. Now then, well, that windshield don't look no fucking better, does it? Time to go.
What at first looked like disaster turned to triumph as Hysteria spawned 7 hit singles, sold 10 million copies in the U.S. and nearly 15 million worldwide. Def Leppard headlined an unforgettable 13-month world tour performed in the round. Performing in the round presented new challenges for the band, but boys dealt with the situation in their own wild way.
When you're running around, trying to cover 4 sides of the stage, comes a moment when you need a break. And so they manufactured this moment in the show whereby the guitar players would all go underneath the stage and Joe and Rick would be left on the stage. I'm going around the whole crowd doing this whole winding them up, getting them going. While this is going on, underneath the stage, where Rick, Savage and Phil and Steve Clark are, and all the roadies and the other guests that happen to be around, would be in there with a whole load of women. It would be like Sodom and Gomorrah going on for 20 minutes. Their passport into the under the stage area was they had to take their tops off and get their butts out. That was the bargain. There'll be 60 naked girls, and I mean with nothing on, blink, mothers and daughters performing sexual acts. I mean, it was just, it was like Caligula, satirical. That's what it was. Fellini's satirical. It was this weird little sex scene. Some nights it got a little crazy than others. And photographed. Inevitably, like Rick Allen and Joe Elliott come out with really squeaky clean because of course they would never be like this stuff. But the others were sums up.
In October 1988, after 15 months on the road, Def Leppard concluded the Hysteria tour in Seattle. It was to be Steve Clark's last show with the band.
I think it really hit Steve hard that this is getting harder. Every album we do is getting bigger and bigger. How the hell do we top this one? And I think that started to get to him. Countless nights I sat with Steve Clark when he was chopping out the cut. And as he was doing it, he'd be going, don't tell me else. Don't tell me else.
He didn't ever want to have the band learn about it, and the band didn't want to learn about it because then they would have had to look at their own addictions.
Before the first show of the Hysteria tour, he was so desperately trying to break his fingers so he wouldn't have to go on stage the next night. He was slamming them against the marble sink in his bathroom. He was just scared to death to go on stage. He was okay after the first gig. It's the first one.
Then in late 1989, Steve Clark was found lying comatose in a gutter.
Steve was found in a coma in Minneapolis. Apparently, the alcohol in his blood was double what killed John Bonham. I mean, that's astonishing.
Coming up next, Steve Clark is admitted to a psychiatric hospital.
I mean, this was one flew over a cuckoo's nest. There is one of my best friends. It was the black horse the trees.
And Rick Allen is arrested for attacking his wife.
What happened had nothing to do with me. That I can tell you. It had to do with alcohol.
Come on, Behind the music continues.
Well, I hope we're still together. It'd be a shame if we weren't. I don't think they'll probably do another 15-month tours, but they'll still be making records.
Desperately ill from years of alcohol abuse, Steve Clark was admitted to a psychiatric hospital in Minneapolis.
There is one of my best friends, in with the lamppost scratchers, the ones that talk to trees. I mean, it's why? Why is he in here?
It was very hard to convince everyone that there was a real problem there. You know, his girlfriend at the time, Caroline, had been telling me for like 5 years.
He had a chemical imbalance, and it was painful. Like I said, he had voices and, you know, the compulsive behavior disorder. He was scared, and he was really lonely.
Steve Clark was undoubtedly the unhappiest millionaire rock star I ever met in my life.
You can't sell 12 million records and not earn any money. But it can create some very weird situations with friends and people used to know.
But everyone thinks, they don't drink rum, they go to bed cold, they come out, they're cured. You know, it's not like that. I think a lot of his frustration came from the fact that he never got a pat on the back from his dad.
He loved his father, but he was scared to death of him because his father also had that mean streak where one minute he'd be happy and laughing and the next minute he wouldn't be a very nice guy.
His dad used to like getting drunk and it was like, come on son, let's go and have a drink. This was after Clark's been in the clinic 3 months. He never realised that Clark couldn't have 3 drinks, he had to drink 10. I don't think his family helped him. I think the fact is that Clark didn't give him. He went to rehab because everybody made him.
He was home for maybe 10 days. He had to go back to work in Dublin, you know, the World Club, and write again for the next album. So off he was, back with the band, drinking again.
In Dublin, the sessions for the band's 5th album, Adrenalize, were constantly interrupted by repeated attempts to help Steve.
I mean, we basically made Malvin, our tour manager, live with him to keep an eye on him, which is must have been a god-awful task for Malvin because it was impossible.
You know, I'd stand there and tell him, Steve, I love you. Please don't do this. Please don't do this because you're hurting, you know, you can hurt me as much as you like, but you're hurting yourself big time and full time.
He went into rehab in Dublin, and for 1 month they needed family member to be there. Once a week I went in and basically just tried to make him feel bad. And he'd just sit there in his boiler suit, picking his nails, not even hearing a word I was saying. And then at the end of it he'd say, thanks for coming. And he'd been there for a month, and then the day he checks out, he goes straight to the pub and gets blind drunk and falls down.
Painfully aware that their efforts to help Steve help himself were futile, the band attempted one last desperate tactic.
So we gave him a 6-month leave of absence. Why don't you just go back to your house? He bought this house in Chelsea in London. Why don't you go back to your house, chill out, write songs, demo them, do whatever you like. Get up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but get well. He was relieved and happy to be given the chance and the space to
It was a little bit of a relief, I have to admit, on our point of view, from our point of view as well.
And of course, the 6 months never elapsed.
There was a point in there where I called his parents and I said, you need to help him.
He came home for Christmas 1990. We could see that he was really looking worse for wear. That I had words with him, if he carried on drinking like this, he'd kill himself. And he said, oh, well, I'm not bothered anyway. Just like that. And I said, well, nobody's ever come back from dead to say what he was really like.
And by now he was mixing Valiant, Prozacs, alcohol, Coke, whatever anybody would give him. And his heart was just beating, trying so hard to stay alive. But really he was really slowly trying to kill himself. And when you combine all that pain with the Prozac and the alcohol and the cocaine and the Valium and the stress, I think his little heart just gave out. And I think he died of a broken heart.
Steve Clark died in his sleep at his home in London on January 8, 1991. He was 30 years old. An autopsy ruled his death due to compression of the brainstem from excessive alcohol mixed with antidepressants and painkillers.
I really miss him every time the show starts. I go home to Sheffield at least once a year, usually at Christmas time. I've got Christmas. I sit there for a while. It's freezing cold in the morning, it's on the side of the hill, the wind whipping through. I just huddle down. I just stay up for maybe 2-3 minutes. I'm not that Scottish or anybody, but I do it.
I think my initial thing was like, don't do this no more. Stop saying, why are we doing this anyway? It's kind of supposed to be fun, right?
It didn't take us long to actually understand that Steve wouldn't want us to do it at all. He just said, carry on.
Living with the ghost of Steve Clark, the band returned to the studio to complete Adrenalines.
We wanted to finish the album off as a 4-piece. Just out of human respect to Steve and his family. We'd worked all his guitar parts out, so I had to play his parts like him. I had to sit down and that was really strange. It was like a ghost, you know, it's like, there he is.
It's very real. Studios and music are escapism and real life.
The idea of like replacement, like if you replace someone, you don't replace a family member, you know, and you can't. We talked about it for ages and we ended up getting Vivian.
We felt him for a while. We knew him as a person. I was so important. It's a lot more to do with being able to work with people than necessarily being, you know, an Olympian athlete at your instrument, you know.
It may not look like Steve, but like Steve.
Bad man.
Couldn't sing, couldn't play guitar, but great soccer player. Let's put him in the band.
Vivian Campbell made his major concert debut when Def Leppard joined Brian May and the members of Queen for the Freddie Mercury Concert of Life at Wembley Stadium.
I was just blown out of my seat, you know, I had no idea the impact that they were going to make. I'd never seen the place sort of rise as one man to his feet. It was incredible. So as all the answers, he said to me, I said, right, this is a long time ago. He said, I figured you would be a rock and roll star as long as you keep your hair and you don't get fat, mate. You don't want to get around.
Greeted with the usual mix of critical disdain and public delight, the band's fifth album, Adrenalines, debuted at #1 in the spring of 1992. The following tour carried none of the baggage of the touring past. They were a lean, mean, rocking machine. In mid-1993, they were given a hero's welcome by their hometown of Sheffield, and staged a standing room-only performance at Don Valley Stadium. But for Def Leppard, every successful high was undercut by a staggering low. On July 5, 1995, Rick Allen was arrested on charges of spousal abuse at Los Angeles Airport after grabbing his wife Stacy by the throat, dragging her into a restroom, and slamming her head against a wall.
It was one of those times when I just completely lost my mind.
What happened had nothing to do with me. That I can tell you. It had to do with alcohol and a temper. And they just don't go together.
My own addictions were also starting to come to the surface and show themselves in ways that
I never dreamt. Possibly.
I did what was right.
And
Got arrested.
she called the police right then and then, and I was locked up for part of that night.
And he had to go into rehab. There was no way that I could let our relationship continue.
I gave myself up to the fact that I was probably going to spend the rest of my days, locked up. I just had the most amazing sort of feelings of respect for Stacey, having allowed me to work through my problems, and her not just sort of turning her back on the entire sort of relationship.
Two people have to want the same goal. One person can't make it work. We have a child we're deeply focused with, and we need to continually try to make our lives work for us and our family.
Coming up next, an older, wiser Def Leppard revealed the key to longevity.
The one thing you never lose sight of is the original fire that you had when you were 16. The only difference is it's just another decade or two.
When Behind the Music continues.
In 1995, Def Leppard began work on a new album entitled Slang. It was to be a dynamic approach from their previous success. It had come time for the band to reinvent itself. In a bomber, going back not much longer as a prison in pain, that everyone said the thing.
These bands were coming out and they were fighting the standard bands like us. We were Beelzebub to them, we were the enemy.
But it is ironic when you turn on the radio and you hear an Arco band like Chumbawamba with a chorus that says, I get knocked out. There's a Leppard influence, I think.
The whole album was interrupted by the Greatest Hits record, which was thrown into our lap as an idea halfway through making the Slang record.
On October 23, 1995, as a promotional stunt to trumpet the release of their greatest hits compilation, Vault, Def Leppard performed 3 concerts on 3 continents within the same day: Africa, Great Britain, and Canada.
We all do silly things sometimes, and there's no greater way than publicising your greatest hits than doing something outrageous. But I think I'd rather pull the next time. And it was
Whoosh.
get my name.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me apples of desire.
Worldwide in early 1996.
Man,
The album
really?
marked a new, more experimental musical approach.
Bands like R.E.M. and U2 are very good and are allowed to do a complete 360 every time they put an album out. We wanted to see, when we tested what we see people would allow us to move on.
And I actually enjoyed the tour because we weren't drinking, we weren't drug taking. It was a slang tour. I mean, it was fun.
Anybody left on here? Hey, what y'all doing? I got people that stayed on here while I'm doing my fueling. Thank you.
When you were 16, the only difference is it's just another decade. Or two.
In spite of all the
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Def Leppard is literally a band that does not know when to quit.
Y'all are awesome.
Talent, determination, and stamina remain their true
Y'all rock.
We're about a team. We're about
Hang in to.
really.
Hang in to. Come on.
Having nothing
Take
to
fight up. Take it
Turning
up.
into men like three boys.
The band has gone through that whole crisis period.
You see what kind of mess I got back here?
Cohesive vision.
Got stuff flying out of the cupboard.
People like the Stones and Aerosmith to go, look.
In my
these
bedroom.
guys are 50s,
My
we're still
sleeper.
in our 30s. We have overcome
Town with a bell.
And you could look at it as saying that, you know,
Cabinet.
now we're battling against time.
Closet cabinet.
It's quite easy sometimes actually to take
Let's see here.
time to be our friend.
Let's see what we got in here.
It's definitely you realise that whatever goes on outside,
Hello. Hello.
do
Do.
Well, I lost the other one. I don't wear a watch on this. Simply because.
Can't reach the refrigerator from the seat, so I built me a lunchbox. And I can reach my lunchbox. I set her in the floor.
You know, I hear voices.
Cause it ain't no whore.
You know, they tell me to do the wrong thing. It's
Take a bite of shake it up.
like that, then expect lightning.
And put the cable on here.
Think about it logically. You've got 5 people for the last 18 years pretty much lived in and out of each other's pockets. We've had one guy die and a guy have a very serious accident. And there's been a hell of a lot more good times than bad times. You know, and I don't think that we will maintain an audience through sympathy. We'll maintain an audience by constantly making great records.
Go in there, dude. Really?
Stick around for more Def Leppard. Up next, it's an all-Def VH1 rock.
So that's my bedroom. This is a sleeper. It's a little cluttered right now, but that's the bed. And my pillows. And I got the microwave up there. But you have to overlook my mess here, because I am trucking up. Trucking ahead, don't give a fuck. Short and small, ain't got it all. Come in. Here we are, got hot. Hot. Look at a little something hot. Come on.
They grabbed the decade of decadence by the tail. I drank a lot before, during, and after. And gnawed their way into hairband history.
We all pretty much were Elvis and John with guitars on.
Lay it down, trucking up.
And bagged almost as many female fans.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I'm sure I stuck my gun too many times. I walked in one day and said, you know, this place smells like a go.
Now with never before seen
Got me a snacky wacky.
and exclusive outtakes.
Have you any words? Yes sir, yes sir. 3 blind mice 4. 1 for the horde, 1 for the door, and 1 for the horde and horde next door.
In horrific blows.
I open the door, and there's Robert with a bottle of vodka upside down, just bubbling up.
And in
You gotta lay it down, go to town.
Revisit the moments where it all went tragically wrong.
I certainly handed over my life to the devil.
I think he thought he was invincible.
It's time to go round and round with rap.
Round and round with love, why don't we just get the time? Round and round.
This is the story behind the music.
Everybody was on their own planet, and there was no coming back.
La 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 la. Well, lucky boy. Let's roll, baby.
It was 1984, the year of the record. When a hungry pack of hard rockers exploded out of Hollywood and became princes of the pop metal revolution.
What would I do to meet Steve Piercy? Just about anything.
It's everything. I mean, it was comical. There were bras and panties everywhere you looked. I'm gonna be able to tell you
it was all out all the time.
I'd be like, what?
Credit with millions of fans with their hedonistic brand of heavy rock turned all of America into a personal playground.
There's a lot of weed smoking. People would snort blow on the bus would all kind of snort and drink.
Where I would walk into the dressing room, hi Warren, look around, see how much Jack Daniels was gone, see how many empty Budweiser cans were laying around, how many roaches were laying in the ashtrays, and I'd get a pretty good idea about what kind of show we were going to have. It's good.
Not long after taking it to the Leppard, then over the edge. And in a weary procession of backstage parties, no one was hitting it hard with the guitarist Robin Crosby.
Turn left onto I-10 toward El Paso.
Quitting breathing when you're addicted.
In an exclusive 1999 interview with Behind the Music, Crosby spoke about his life in rap and the addictions that turned his world upside down.
There's no just walking away from it. I was too good. What I was doing.
Robin Crosby's addiction is problems.
You got a little turbo backfire.
About the last breath.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
Instrumental in our
Listen.
lives.
Lay it down, go to town.
Enter highway onto I-10.
Man, y'all are awesome, man. Some of y'all have been hanging around here for a good long minute. I appreciate you. I really do. Where y'all from? Where you at? What's your weather like? Everything okay in your life? Are you rich? You got the Lord on your side? You got your baby doll beside of you? Ball humbug. Pilot coffee. Best coffee on the road. I've told this before on here, but I'm going to tell it again. Because maybe the ones that's on here maybe haven't heard it. But anyway, back about, it's been a long time ago, years ago, when Pilot come up with that slogan, best coffee on the road, they started putting it on their tanker trailers, the fuel tankers, gas tankers. And it said, you know, you'll see them on the road, best coffee on the road. Well, a friend of mine, he's not a trucker, he's never really been around trucks at all. He don't know much about them. But one night we was sitting around partying, and he says, "Hey Al," he said, "I see them pilot trucks on the road, and them tankers." I was like, "Yeah." He said, and it says, "Best coffee on the road." I was like, "Oh yeah. And he's like, "Do they really haul the coffee to the truck stops in tankers?" Well, I thought for a second, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna roll with it." I said, "Yeah, man, they pull up there, and when they unload their gas and diesel fuel, it goes straight into the ground unless they have above ground tanks." And the tanks are adjacent. But yeah, they haul it in them tanker trucks and dump it in the either underground tanks or above ground tanks. Well, we're partying and hanging around, bullshitting, and me and another buddy of mine, we forgot to tell Joe that we was just kidding about the pilot coffee. Because he asked, he said, so what, does it just go through the tank and then come up? I said, yeah, they dump it in the tank, and then when you go inside and get you a cup of coffee out of the little dispenser thing, it's coming from the tank underground, and that's where it heats it at. Well, we forgot to tell him the truth. A couple of months later, we run into Joe. He said, "Man, I was telling my people about how the pilot does their coffee and puts it in the tanker and then dumps it in the underground storage tanks or above ground storage tanks, and then it's plumbed into the side of the store and comes out into the coffee machine when you pour your coffee." I'm like, "Oh my God, no way." I'm like, "Joe, really?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." And I was like, "Man, I'm sorry, brother." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Man, did we not tell you we were just kidding about that?" And he's like, "Well, no." I was like, "That's not how the coffee's delivered to the pilot and Flying J truck stops." He said, "Oh, hell, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." That was funnier than hell. More funny at the time that we did that than now, but anyway. Anywho, on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. I find another fucking music in my friend. I can't wait to get on the road again. Rattle, 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 shake, shake, and tumble down. Shake and tumble down, baby, come on and shake. I need a woman that'll make me shake and tumble down. No, don't leave me alone. She says, "Baby, oh, sometime when the rain's gonna wash you away, I believe him." Yeah, I know. I know. not. The road's rough. Most all viewers. Okay.